Melbourne Rents slashed. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article from Domain about Melbourne landlords slashing their rent. Now we've been discussing this, well, for months. Just the flood of Airbnb and other properties hitting markets around different parts of Australia and, well, the reduced demand for international students and tourists potentially flowing through to the rental market. And the question, we were all asking and considering was, what impact would this have on the value of properties? Sure, the yield for a property isn't as important as other things because, property always goes up every 7 years to the moon, and the government is, literally tipping bucket loads of money at this industry, which is really sadly all they seem to do. But it looks like people are starting to have to slash the rents. And the picture here, I think, is quite appropriate. Because it's going to be the units that cop it, everyone. It's definitely going to be the units. Because so many young people who are just living in the city, maybe working in a cafe, renting a unit, and the job's gone, this has happened. They've moved home. A lot of them have moved back home with mum and dad. And maybe they're getting JobKeeper or maybe they're on the job seeker bonus and they're not feeling the economic impacts of this recession. Because, well, they don't have mutual obligations yet, and that's starting to creep back in, or JobKeeper's keeping them in a job even though their business is gone. So we're kind of like in some weird... Well, this is like all quiet on the Western Front, isn't it, if you think about this year? With regards to the impact of this recession. I know we've had the recession, that was the attack. We haven't suffered the casualties of that recession yet. It's going to flow through and it'll take some time. And so, I'm quite skeptical about any claims of a V-shaped recovery and it's all rocketing to the moon. We have to wait and see until these mechanisms are removed. So just bide your time and be patient and prepare. Prepare for the worst. If you prepare for the worst, if situations are much better than you anticipated, well, you'll be okay. That's the thing. I guess that's the Stoic philosophy. That's part of me going through all these news articles and just trying to pull apart and think about what's happening so I can prepare for worse situations. So, Melbourne landlords slash rents while regional cities can't keep up with rental demand. So this is people flooding out of Melbourne. So has that exacerbated all of the other problems? The Melbourne drain. Is that a thing? The number of Melbourne homes are sitting advertised for rent jumped a staggering 40% in November compared with this time last year, new analysis shows. Well, there you go. People are getting out of Melbourne. I wonder if the people leaving Melbourne will take their political ideologies with them. That's the biggest concern. Hopefully, they'd realize, okay, there's a reason why Melbourne is the way it is. Perhaps I should change some of my fundamental beliefs. Here's hoping. At the same time, the proportion of Melbourne rental properties that have been discounted has also skyrocketed according to the analysis of rental listings conducted by Domain. Last month, more than a quarter, 26.1% of all Melbourne houses and apartments listed for rent had their asking price reduced, up from 14.9% in November last year. So, I know in Australia we can't, technically you're not allowed to have it at a certain level and discount it. But could this be a sign of desperation if they're saying discounted or reduced rent, or they're measuring it from one period to another? We'll have to see. Let us know in the comments, guys, if you're renting, have you managed to score a discount? Because it's a mixed bag. Because you've got rental demand in the regions is going up. So maybe it is the green change. Maybe people are realizing, you know what? I don't need to work in the city. I don't need to be so close to this. Or I want a bit more breathing room. I want more land around me. If this happens again, I want to have a backyard. Oh, look, I can get so much more value for my money a bit further out. We had friends from high school. They ended up settling up north, up at Maryborough. We've got a family. They're thinking of settling in Gympie. they can get more value for their money, more house for their money. So what I pay for a fixer upper in Brisbane, you can get much more land up there, but then you don't have the same access to services. So it's kind of a catch 22 with what you want, but it's rural Queensland for a lot of the places. It ain't that bad, to be honest. You got to go real bush to really start missing out on a lot of stuff. Oh no, you won't be able to get to the latest Disney on Ice Lion King. God forbid. Oh wait, no, sorry, no. It's the Bluey musical. I actually wanted to go to that Bluey musical with the kids, but of course it's all sold out. And then I saw the price, and I'm really glad it was sold out, because we'll just wait for it to come on TV. In contrast, every region outside Melbourne, including Geelong, Ballarat, Bendigo, Shepparton, and Latrobe Valley, has seen a significant drop in the proportion of advertised rental properties being discounted. The analysis shows landlords in inner Melbourne, including the CBD and South Bank, and the inner east in suburbs such as Panera, Windsor, and South Yarra, have been discounting more than anywhere else as they attempt to fill empty apartments by offering cheaper rent. See, this is the thing. We've got another video we're going to look at where they're starting to give concessions for visa holders, and the argument I'm putting forward, and that's next year, the argument I'll put forward is this the beginning of opening the floodgates? Is this just the first step to opening the floodgates? I mean, this is the thing. You've got so many people are going to be tied up in these bloody units in the middle of the city, depending on international students just to pay the things off for them. How many geniuses have put all of their eggs in one basket, all of their investments in one basket? Negative gear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties, pay cash only, just to get ahead. Like that poor teacher in ABC, the ABC article we read earlier in the year. Everyone. This is the problem we have in Australia. It's to a point where to get ahead, everyone just wants to go into property because everyone goes into property because that's what every TV show is telling us, every educator is telling us. And from a macro perspective, that hurts the innovation of our country. And honestly, I'd say it makes us lazy. That's what it's doing. Property's making us lazy. We're getting fat and lazy and sitting on our hands. Because why would you want to work, set up a business, do all this stuff when you can sit on your hands and make more money just sitting on property? That's, take advantage of it while you can, but the problem is it good for us in the long run? The inner city rental market was hardest hit by the pandemic due to a dramatic drop in the number of international students and heavy job losses across hospitality, retail, and tourism, as businesses were forced to shut down to contain the virus. Significant numbers of inner-city workers also left the city, seeking cheaper rent elsewhere as offices shut and professionals worked remotely, many on reduced hours and pay. So what this could mean, the market will adjust. Prices will keep falling until they're at a point where people are willing to pay it. Where they'll go, you know what, yeah, I'll pay that. I'll pay that $10 extra than out here in the country. Oh, wait, it's the same as what I can get here. I might as well move there. It's closer to stuff. That's what'll happen. Then it'll be more affordable. Then maybe some of these people in retail and tourism might have a chance, and hospitality might have a chance of actually saving up a deposit to get into a property. Or the rents will be so low, the yields will be so low, people will be forced to sell. They won't be able to manage the mortgages. But then they'll get even better negative gearing advantages if the rents go down, but then if you're not making enough money, it's still a loss is a loss in the end. The analysis by Domain revealed 30.5% of advertised rental properties in inner Melbourne had their asking price slashed last month, up from 14.4% in November last year. More than 30% of rental properties in the inner east had their prices reduced, up from 15.3% at the same time last year. You've got to remember, this is all occurring while we still have some people getting mortgage holidays, while we still have businesses propped up by JobKeeper, while we still have a supplement to JobSeeker, everyone. And we're already starting to see these discounts manifest. So the question is, are people holding on, expecting the economy to improve by the time these support mechanisms are removed? That's the thing. And if you're dependent on international students and holidaymakers, then all your hopes would be that the virus is mitigated by the vaccines that are being rolled out. And then all of a sudden, next year, it'll be right back to how it was previously. But then you've got to throw you put the question out there of the political animosities and the trade wars that are happening around the world. Is it worth the risk holding on for that period and those what ifs, or trying to cut your losses now? So that'd be the question a lot of people would be facing, I'd imagine, in this situation. Or maybe, maybe it's the time to buy a bargain and just sit and hold and wait. If you can cash flow it. So I was talking to someone who was looking at starting up a little wine bar, because now's the time to swoop in, take a derelict premises or an abandoned premises, say, I'm not paying any rent, I'm not doing this or this or this, I'll take it over so you get some activity there, and run it and get it up and set it real cheap. So, this is it. When everyone's in trouble and stepping out, it may be the time to get a bargain. Isn't that the old saying? But we haven't quite seen them yet in property. But we'll have to wait until these other issues or these other support mechanisms are removed. Dion Wilson of Hardcourts, Melbourne City, says she's not surprised by the high number of rental properties being discounted. I thought these numbers could have been even higher, she said. Everything we are currently bringing to market is being rented for a lot less than they were a year ago. Some of our rents are up to 40% lower, and we're seeing some properties sit on the market for months. 40% lower rent, months empty. You've got to remember every month, every week even, that you're not renting a property, that's reducing your yield. That's a cost you have to bear. So can you explain to me why going into these type of things, being a landlord, is easy money? It just seems like a nightmare, particularly in a unit, with all of the issues there. At the very least, one of the advantages, if the buildings are empty, it's going to be easier to replace the flammable cladding on them. So I guess that's a bonus. One property we had vacant for 11 months. Maybe that's just the stupid owner who won't reduce the rent. And we've had others that have been vacant for 5 to 6 months. Previously, our properties would be vacant for a couple of days, she said. While a drop in international student numbers has affected the inner city rental market, Ms. Wilson believes many professionals and those working in retail and hospitality left the CBD during the pandemic due to job losses and remote working. Just in the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've started to see some of these people come back. There's been a dramatic upswing in activity, and we expect that's due to retail returning, hospitality returning, and even some office workers returning. In the Inner East, leasing consultant Damien Betham of McGrath and Kilda, says rent reductions have been commonplace since Victoria's strict lockdown began, and believe it will continue for some time to come as tenants become accustomed to cheaper rents and landlords look to secure long-term tenants. What we typically find is that a property will get listed and gradually the price will come down by $25 and then $50 and so on, said Mr. Betham, who largely works in the inner suburbs of St Kilda, Windsor, Parran, South Yarra and Elstonwick. I had an older-style apartment recently which was advertised for $320 to $330 a week, and it went down to $250 a week, and all of a sudden we had people applying for it without even seeing it, he said. We are finding that price is really what is driving interest in properties at the moment. Mr. Betham said he is also seeing an increasing number of tenants moving just to get a better rent deal. Obviously, we've seen a lot of people who might have lost their jobs because of the pandemic move back home or move in with friends, and that's driven the high number of vacancies. But what we're also seeing now is people moving who don't have to move. So we're getting applications from people who have seen something similar to what they're already renting in the same block for much cheaper. So they'll move to take advantage of lower prices, he said. While Mr. Betham says he has seen a small increase in the number of people viewing properties in recent weeks, from 20 on average to 30 to 40, some tenants who have moved back to their hometowns or to regional areas may never return. In regional cities such as Ballarat and Bendigo, the proportion of rental properties that have had their advertised price reduced has dropped significantly over the past 12 months, reflecting a steep increase in demand. In November last year, 4.9% of advertised rentals in Bendigo were being discounted. Last month, that dropped to just 1.1%. The increased demand for rental properties has also seen an increase in rental prices in the city, according to Terence Morse of Brigham and Scott Ballarat, who believes the demand is being driven largely by Melburnians. The rental demand is very strong at the moment. I had one property about 4 weeks ago where we had 100 applicants for this particular 2-bedroom unit, he said. I think the lockdown has really made people evaluate where they are currently living, and so we are coming out of lockdown. I had quite a lot of Melbourne people who were looking to buy up here in Ballarat, but they wanted to get a bit of a sense of what it was like first. So that's smart. That's smart, renting in the regional area before you buy there. That is very smart and encouraging. That makes me happy. That's good. Glad to see that. They were asking for, say, 6, 9 or 12 months leases, but they were willing to pay 3 or 4 months in advance because they'd sold up in the city and they're just looking for, I guess, the country feel, he said. Mr. Morse said many new tenants from Melbourne who plan to combine remote working with commuting to Melbourne a couple of days a week have been leasing properties within walking distance to the train station. The train station here is very close to the city centre, so we're finding a lot of Melburnian people looking to rent in your Ballarat central sort of suburbs, where you can just walk to the station and jump on the train when you need to. It's a similar story in Bendigo, where Nicoletta Tussoritis, a senior property manager at Bendigo Real Estate, said the agency's vacancy rates for the last 2 weeks have been 0%. The demand for rentals is incredibly high at the moment, she said. I think because of COVID, a lot of people have decided to get out of Melbourne, and Bendigo is appealing to a lot of people. So this is the thing, everyone. When we're looking at any of these articles or things about property, we need to really get down to the suburb level, honestly. That's what you need to zoom in, look at the demand in your suburb, in your area where you're going. Because you can see here just one city from another. Ballarat, Bendigo, ain't that far. It ain't that far out, really. Oh, wait a minute. I'm thinking of Ballarat, Bendigo. Let me just have a look here. Where's Bendigo? Yeah, okay. Let me have a look here. Oh, look, it's coming up with Bendigo Bank. Forget it. We're not even going to look at the Bendigo Bank. Remember when they were all the rage? She said demand for rental properties is so high that many homes aren't being advertised. I think you'll find a lot of agents around Bendigo are also doing a lot of leasing off market as well, because we've got so many applicants coming in and we don't have enough properties. So the properties that are coming on board, we're able to get those good applications, and we've already referenced for other properties and get a quick turnaround without having to advertise, she said. She said the increased demand was also leading to rental price increases in the central Victorian city. The rents have definitely increased from where they were last year. I couldn't tell you by how much, but normally over the Christmas and New Year period, you do tend to get more properties sitting on the market a little bit longer. But this year, it's been the complete opposite. So it really is a tale of two cities, isn't it? Melbourne and Bendigo. Melbourne, where the masses are fleeing, where rents are falling, where properties are staying vacant for months at a time. And Bendigo, where property is getting, they don't even need to advertise it right now. So there we have it, everyone. People are getting out of Melbourne. We'll have to see what happens in other cities. But I can't say I'm particularly surprised. What's going to be interesting is to see the impact on the value of properties in Melbourne, and it's just going to mean prices are going to correct. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. Support us using our affiliate links on Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.